The Exchange on Deep Dive.
At 21 minutes before we get to 8 o'clock, right here on Capital Talk 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. It is the second hour of the Deep Dive, which is, of course, the Exchange. And today, it's seemingly simple one, but I want to believe it carries a lot of weight. The strategy behind a successful side hustle. Remember, Nambotora Nindikati, one of the simplest ways you can put it is, a means of sustenance that brings in extra income consistently, or a business of sorts that brings in extra income consistently, which obviously then amalgamates with time and becomes bigger as well. But thankfully my guest is here to bail me out of my situation where I was seemingly, because if you ask me, I actually don't have a successful side hustle, but I'm looking for it, which is the most important thing I would like to believe. The idea that I'm hunting for a success. It doesn't mean okay, now I'm mincing my way. Because I have, but I'm looking for it, but I can't say I have until maybe I feel like it's successful. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe kind of income where then I can say, no, I actually have a side hustle and it's successful as well. You can't say you have a side hustle when it's not at least bringing through the revenue, It becomes dicey to call it that as well. But enough about that. To help us slice through this in a way that we might really understand is my guest in studio, John Kudereza. Good evening to you, John. Thank you so much for joining us on Capital.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a moment. How's it, my guy?
Good, man. Glad to have you here as well.
Likewise.
And, with a very interesting subject topic. I think ndanchimbotera kuti munhu wese mazuva ano ari mubishiro rekuti ndoita chinyi chimwe ndine zvandinoita handiti asi ndoita chinyi chimwe kuti ndisupplement ndoita ndezvipi zvimwe zvandogona nguva yatiri unopesera wakutodiscover nezvimwe zvawanga usingagoni kana wanga usiri entrepreneur, you find yourself in that lane as well, nezvimwe zvinhu zvakasiyana siyana. But before we go deeper into it, I think the background is key in trying to understand your mind frame and your inspiration, behind the idea of a successful side hustle, or maybe before it even becomes successful, just a side hustle in J.
Okay.
Before then it turn it successful, yeah.
All right. Hi, Strategy family, how are you? It's been a moment, and I'm glad to be here tonight sharing with you the ideas about the successful side hustle. So you know what? As a strategist, maybe per se I can say I'm a Zim strategist. That's what I call myself, Zim strategist. So as I've been moving around the market, the business industry and everything else, whatever that I've been seeing right now, I noticed almost everyone, we are in a generation with people who are ambitious, who have good business ideas, who want to make it in life, want to be successful. But then in that space, everyone wants to have a side hustle, or let me say they want to have a hustle. Right. So, but then there is a problem now that we are facing as many entrepreneurs or as people who have side hustles, that we are taking it as extra income. So now when you're taking that business as extra income, you are then forgetting those big businesses or that are existing right now. They started as side hustles. But the difference between them and us is they took that business not as an extra income, but as their own source of income, as their only source of income.
Yeah.
You see, so it all starts with the mentality. So the reason why we're having this topic today is because we want to bring in a mentality that is saying your side hustle shouldn't be an extra income. Let's desist from that thing of saying, okay, I have an extra income, but let that be your mainstream of income. Let's breed a generation that is changing their side hustles into their mainstream line businesses.
Yeah. Interesting. I love the idea of mentality that you spoke about, because I think it all boils down to mentality.
Yeah.
And I think zvinotinetsa kuita comprehend dzimwe nguva because tichifunga kuti imi ndati ipiko yakazomboshandisa kuti zvibude but I think we were talking even off air, you know, about how if you stay consistent nechinhu chauri kuita,
exactly,
you know, it will reap benefits at some point. But how do you pivot now? Ipapo probably ndine zvandiri kuita zvimwe zviri kundipa income, but mati, you know, pivoting into thinking kuti no, this is my main source of income, you know. I don't want to think about it because the moment I think about it as a side hustle, it means ndekanga kakutongoti ndezve paside, you know. So I won't even give enough attention and focus to nurture that particular business or project that I have.
Exactly. So here's the thing now. If you're going to work, because when you're saying a side hustle, it means you're going somewhere 9 to 5, right?
Right.
So I strongly believe that between 9 to 5, it is that time that you work on your employment side. So as an employee. But what you do between 5 to 9 p.m. in the evening, that's on you.
Right.
In building a better future for yourself.
Right.
So you see, the problem nowadays is when we have people who are saying they're side hustles, they take them or only do them on their free time, break time, lunch time. But after hours, they don't take time to re-strategize and have strategies for their businesses or for their side hustles. So this is what I tell myself. When you are saying you're having a side hustle, make sure that side hustle is a business that you can feel good anytime, any day. If I lose my job, I can do this thing full time and still make it from there.
Right.
Because the moment you have that mindset and ideology, that means even your strategies that you're going to put in place, they are strong strategies, right? Because, you know, it's like you're in a relationship, right? And you're with a lady, she is a side chick. You don't value that person because you'll be like, okay, it's a side chick. But if
I
that
like
person,
I like that example.
you get it. So,
yes.
but if a person orders it, okay, do madam, do pandina, do panakafira. So you make sure you invest much in that person. You give whatever that is needed for them to be looking beautiful and all that, right? So that same mindset and that same ideology is what we are bringing home to business now and saying, okay, guys, when you have your side hustle, make sure that side hustle, you are saying to yourself, okay, if anything goes wayward, business employed, I'm going to live on this full time. So you need to make sure each and every time, whatever opportunity that you get, you build your businesses. You build that side hustle. In a way, you feel, okay, maybe in 6 months' time, okay, now even when to focus on my hustle full time. So the problem now is whenever you are thinking of a side hustle, make sure you are thinking of a side hustle rinokupinzira mari. Kana chiri side hustle, guys, atisina ma side hustles ekuti madhiri pabasa. Because madhiri pabasa basa rikapera zvadakwa. But have a side hustle, a business ritori because all right, a business is called a separate legal entity. That means rakatozvimira rega munhu anofema, right? Yeah. So you also should have your own business per side, which is a separate legal entity, rinotofema pacharo, which can make you survive in the next future.
Saka, do you think the problem stems even from the wording itself, you could side hustle? Because in other ways, to me it feels like chinu wanga uzvauri kutoita zvitori bho, but maybe
extra income. You see
what I mean?
Let's not call it an extra income. The moment you start treating it as an extra income, that means you're it's just that it's like an emergency fund. In case of emergency, panel, right? But we're saying let's desist from that. Let's give it a better name, which is not a side hustle, right? If you're coming up with a bigger name to call that business, call it that, so that you also get to value it big time.
I'm thinking, John, because I've seen people who have actually quit their jobs because their side hustle now demanded more from them, because even income yanga kuuya yatowanda, but because I want to believe, like you're saying, ranga is side hustle, business, very functional. Business. And if it makes sense for you, I'm not then saying you should quit your, but I'm just saying if it makes sense for you in your other business, why not?
Right. So here is what I'm going to tell you tonight. Guys, if you are starting a business, you start a business so that you leave your employment space and gochi for a business. So that means if you have planned, so it's like you are, all right, the reason why many people start my business is because they want to retire young and retire rich. You get it? So I think it's always wise, if you have that mindset of retirement, that should then force you to start a business per side. And that business should be able to be having a good basic, a good foundation that can actually sustain itself and also sustain you, while also sustaining other 100 families go side. Those other families, those are your employees. You get it? So it all starts with the plan. Why are you starting the business? So you check out, there are questions that you should be asking yourself, like the why, when, what, how. But the why question, right? So if a person comes to me and says, I want to start a business, I'll ask you the question why 4 times. Because why ka 4. Kana usada kunatsoziva zvauri kuda kutangira business chaizvo. By the 3rd time unenge watojomba maanswers. But by the 4th time ukakwanisa kuramba uchidzokeredza uchitaura pull out whatever that is in you. I'll actually know, okay, this person is in business because they want to make it. They want to change the narrative. Not just because they want to look flashy.
Yeah.
Because the moment if you get into business because you want to look flashy, you check out at the end of the day, CEO is just a title. Munaningoro yake mabanari panzaba is a CEO.
The
director but just because you have a fancy way of wanting to be called a CEO and the director in a tie and all that, you want to look flashy, you die broke and in debt.
What then becomes the difference, I'm just thinking, between someone are employed at a 9 to 5 yake and then I just a side hustle as compared to someone who is in the hustle, like atorina kumwe kwaanoti ndine 9 to 5 anotongomuka achi ari mufield make imo.
Right. So a person anonzi ari kuenda kovhima, kudhara vana mudhara vedu vachienda kunovhima vaingonzi vaitakura matches chete, right? And then they would go kunovhima for about 2 weeks or even a week, let's say a week. But then you check kuti ane mentality yekuti ndiri kufanira kudzoka nenyama, and aidzoka kubva kusango ikoko akabata something. They had no safety net or backup plan, right? So a person who is employed aine business per side, right? So I strongly believe that the word rekuti side hustle rakabuditswa nemunhu anga ari employed somewhere just because ane kwaari kunyatsofocus nako, and then they said, okay, it's a side hustle. But to a person asina kwaari employed anyway, anototi this is the big deal, the real deal.
This is the hustle.
This is the hustle. So the difference between those two people is their mindset of seeing things. So the person are employed, I need a business per side. Anoti I have a backup plan. So zvikadhakwa ndinekwa ndinodonera. But to a person asina inside hustle, anokuza kuti I have to win or I win. There are 2 options. You get it? It's like okay. It's like urimgo wapina msango. Venovo. Let's give an example. Imbwa zemara intiedzo. Imbwa dzokungana dziri 4. It's either you only have one option. It's either ucheta zvivindi zvokutemba yacho unofunga kuti iyi ndofunga ndoinenge ndonda yacho, then I'm going to attack that, then ndovandavhurwa mukana ndovanatiza nepapo, but you have survived. You see? So the person who is getting into entrepreneurship, asina inside hustle or any safety net, they're doing it 100% in. 110% actually.
What mindset, John, separates a casual hustler from someone building a real business? Like in Tokuti, this person is focus yake iri kumberi, probably all akutofunga a 5-10 year plan with the business you can foretell. What separates these two people?
Right. So I believe everything is all on how we think and the vision, right? So you would check out a person who is in the hustle, I'm in the streets for the streets and to win. That person, if they're doing their business, you will check out anotanga ku invest in that business before they invest in themselves, not in themselves, in their outlook and everything else. Right. So I always tell people to invest in the business first before you start investing in your background and everything, combined all that. Because from the business, so you check out a person who's saying, I'm in this thing to win it. I don't invest more in the business. Right. So I know my financial goals. right? Kune business goals, kuzotanonzi financial goals. Ekuti anokuudza kuti I want to grow my company kubva panapa kusvika apa. Mari yandiri kuwana, ndikaona mari yakawanda kusvika apa, ndichedzisa business. Vheni yakadai ndiri kuisa paside. Vheni ndiri kuita zvakadai. So you see the planning yake munhu iyeye yasiyana. Number financial planning yake munhu yasiyana. Number 2, the strategies that they are putting in place. So I want to talk about sales. You know, when you're doing sales in a business, sales, we say it's an ongoing process. So you will check with a person, I'm doing this business for my survival. Anotanga kuisa ma sales processes or ma sales pipelines. Ekuti nyangwe nas customer gazatenga nas next year or in the next 5 years inotenga. So because a person who's doing a side hustle, muno kuti arukungo joba because it's a side hustle. It's not full time. So you check with anogoro nas cutting some tie. Mangwana arumu kachitenga some viri ema baskoro. Mangwana amu cutting some banana. And then a person wakambotengesera last year akadzoka achina kuda mavhiri moto anoti andichamatengesi ndakachinja trade. You see now, because it was only a momentarily thing. It's not a lifetime thing. So you check with a person who is now into entrepreneurship, akuza the strategies akuisa kana kuri sales strategies, sales strategies, this is long term. You get it? Yeah. Even the structures akuisa business market. Guys, I'm putting these structures in my business because let's assume we have an organogram. You go, okay, we have a director and the director program, MDs, which is and you check out munu akusama structures and these systems this is long term. It's no longer short term.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So it all comes back to the mentality and the way you're growing your vision. The way you are seeing yourself in the next 5 years. You see, so when I say daso, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I know they get offended, but to a person, I'm focusing on this. If you ask them, Kuti, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? That's the difference.
Anzina peshika shiri mfombi inside aso and Sqkatta rinondibatsira zvekudaro kusukamira salary unowacha. Wangu mweri inokanganwa test nyama.
True.
Thank you so much for coming through with that one, Peshi. Do you think we are all born to be, hustlers in ways? Do you think, or because I assume
right,
pressure katina kufutika. We all want to get into business, but are we all business mates?
Okay, so I think I need to redefine the word hustler. So a person who knows a hustler is a person who does illegal dealings and all that. Check your dictionary. Is a person who is making money through illegal dealings and all that. You get it? So now, you should be all hustlers. A hustlers you get it? Something like that. So I believe what I would actually use is replace that word is entrepreneurship. Right? But what I believe is not everyone was born to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
They should be an entrepreneur. Because this is my business, so then who's going to do my books for the other person? Who's going to do sales for the other person? But what I believe is when you're talking about getting successful and being wealthy, success is meant for everyone. But you have to now understand what is your definition of success. Could you want to do it by using other people's money here, or by using other people's time here, or by using other people's experience? So there are 3 ways you can actually make money with. Could you say that you're using other people's money, or you're using other people's experience, or you're using other people's time? Right. So let's talk about using other people's money. Is when you for example, banks, they say, okay, give us your money. Then you they say, Maria Muruchingit is interested 2% per annum. But then if a person comes to a bank or goes to a bank and then they get a loan from the bank, Anonzi is 15% interest per month. So you see, the bank is making money using other people's money. Right. Other people's experience. Do you know you can actually buy shares in another company? What we call a non-executive shareholder. Right? And then you make money from that. You're getting my dividends maybe quarterly or yearly. That doesn't mean go to Watanga business. So you are investing in some other people's experience because you've seen their books and seen, okay, these people, they have knowledge of what they're doing.
Right.
Business now is making my profits, so I need to invest there. Cool. Or you can invest also in some other people's time. Right now, it's about some other people's time. You're having your own business now, and you're employing some other people so that they work for you. And then pay them later at the end of the month. Exactly.
Quite interesting. It's just 2 minutes before we get to 8 o'clock right here on Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. Of course, this is the second hour of the Deep Dive, the exchange. And today we're talking about the strategy behind a successful side hustle. And so many things coming out of this particular conversation with our guest, John Kudereza, in studio. Kuti tinozvifambisa sei, and the understanding of a side hustle. So we're going to go to the news, and probably we'll come back and wrap this up, John. But, before we break for the news, we want to introduce the idea of some of the mistakes that we do, when we are starting our businesses. Side hustle. When we are starting our businesses, especially as young people, because I think ukabata charamba and then watora more, and you're like, you know what, this is for me. Sometimes you're actually an entrepreneur.
Okay.
But because charamba you're like, I'm gonna go.
So you want me to say all this in 2 minutes?
No, just
okay.
In what round down so that we know what to look forward to after the news.
All right. So I think let's talk about no clear plan.
Okay.
Many people, they're just getting into entrepreneurship, but they have no clear plan. What do they want to be like in the next 2 years? What do they really want to do? What do you want to be known for? Visibility. I want to talk about, maybe let's talk about visibility when you come back.
Right.
Because what exactly do you want people to know you for? Not just being a hustler. No.
Ukuzikanirwa chi business mbiri yako imbori yechi if you're a business person. We like that. We'll break for the news and we'll come back to the last and final part of this particular conversation right here on the Deep Dive. Stay tuned and stay with us. We cross over to the news desk shortly.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat.
We're taking charge. We're taking control. We're taking over the airways in Harare.